The world changed when Superman flew across the sky, and then it changed again when he didn't. And that's why we're here. It's taken some work, but we finally have them, the worst of the worst. We want to build a team of some very bad people who think they can do some good. Because in a world of flying men and monsters, this is the only way to make a podcast.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
You can't handle the truth. King Kong ain't got shit on me. I am the third revolution.
I am so much crazier than you.
I am the one who knocks.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Understand, big boy, huh? That's right. Fuck you.
Everybody on? Good. Great. Grand. Wonderful.
Thank you for joining us for the first episode of Facing Off Podcast. That's where we take two movies that we find to be similar and we compare, contrast, and rate them based on some metrics we came up with. I'm one of your hosts, Gabe Siegel.
And I'm one of your other hosts, Nick Tellier. I'm actually the only other host. That's a confusing statement.
What's up, only other host? How you been?
Doing well, man. Work is work. It's hard and stuff. So,
How are the kiddos?
This is good. They're good. I don't have kiddos. Gabe's, if you missed our intro, it's because I work for a school. So
Yeah.
that's why Gabe asked that. I don't have children.
Cool. How are the
How are your children, Gabe?
Oh, my children are doing all right. I should probably actually check on that at some point. But anyways, good to see you, man. I'm
You too.
Excited to get this started with our first two movies.
Yeah, me too. We didn't get to find out how you are though. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I am looking for work, but you know what? By the time this episode comes out, I will have a job and I will be paid $200,000 an hour. So,
Dude. And
looking
it
forward to
means
it.
Gabe means business because he just pinned that onto his vision board.
Yeah, I did. I have a big vision. But today we're going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy versus Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Two comic book movies. But Nick, why don't you give us a little synopsis before we get started?
Right. So the common thread between these two movies is that they are about a band of outlaw people with powers or abilities or skills or baseball bats or whatever. Guardians of the Galaxy takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's about a group of outlaws who are imprisoned together. Namely, they are Gamora, Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, and Drax. And that group bands together in a galaxy far, far away to take on Ronan the Accuser, played by the deep-voiced Lee Pace.
Cardiff Electric.
And he's really into genocide, so they stop him from genociding.
Oh, man. So many genocides.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot to say that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So before we continue, just a couple disclaimers. We are not experts. We don't claim to be experts. This is our opinion. Please let us know what your opinion is. We're open to all opinions, and we love to hear it. But this is what we feel about these two movies. And the second disclaimer is
Spoiler alert, and we said that in the intro, and
Right.
honestly, the names of the movies are in the name of the podcast.
Yeah, so if you haven't
the title
seen
of this episode, so if you haven't seen it and we just spoiled it for you, I'm really sorry, but I'm not
thank
sorry.
you for listening, but please go and watch these movies so you can understand.
especially Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad is also about a band of outlaws, but they are not banded together by their own free will. They are banded together by Amanda Waller
Explosive callers.
and her explosive little chips that she puts in all of their necks. It's a DC Universe movie, and Amanda Waller bands together this squad of sort of superpowered people or whatever, and she's a corrupt government agent, and she wants them to do good because they're bad.
Yeah.
Or something. And then they take on one of their own who turns rogue.
It becomes like a
it's
hula
kind of
dancing
a
witch.
It's kind of a cluster of just strangeness, but it's a movie, and it's similar to Guardians of the Galaxy in that it's about a group of outlaws.
Yeah.
So we put them together, and we're going to talk about them. You want to go over the categories?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just about like two outlaws or two groups of outlaws. And it's also just a good way of showing the differences between Marvel and DC. And we'll get into that with our categories here. So we're actually going to do our categories that we mentioned in the intro episode, our 5 main categories, which are spectacularity, eye candy, acting, originality, and legacy.
Yeah. We can recap those as we go through them, but we're going to use our primary five, right? Five categories for this episode. So
yeah, and our scale again is 1 to 7, 7 being highest, obviously, and 1 being lowest, and 4 being neutral or average. And you'll kind of get the hang of it once we start talking about it.
Yeah.
So let's just get it started. Let's start with spectacularity.
Let's start with spectacularity, and oh boy, which one should we start with?
Let's start with Guardians of the Galaxy because it's the better one in our opinions.
Okay.
So spectacularity is how engaged you were with the movie, whether you were checking your phone, were you worried about runtime?
Did you notice the runtime at all?
Yeah. Were you ever taken out of the movie?
Yeah.
Things like that. So let's start with Guardians.
Yeah, so Guardians of the Galaxy, I'll just go ahead and start with my rating. My rating for Guardians is a solid 5.
Okay.
It is a good movie. It's engaging. It's fun to watch. It's not my personal favorite Marvel movie.
It's up there for me, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah, but it's fun to watch. I can remember, I don't really, like when I rewatched it, I wasn't like really excited about rewatching it like I might be with some other Marvel movies, but I was happy to rewatch it.
Is it because you've watched it too many times, you think?
No, it might be because when I went on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which used to be
Tower of Terror. R.I.P.
That was like last December, and I went on too early. Almost puked. Puked my pants, dude. Wasn't good.
Puked your pants. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. That ride ruined a great movie for you, I guess.
No, it didn't. I just I don't know. It's a good movie. It's fun. It's definitely above average. It's engaging. I didn't notice the runtime. Was pulled into the movie. A lot of it's driven by the characters for me.
Yeah.
For this one.
Absolutely.
And the humor. But yeah, it's a solid 5 for me. What about you?
It is a 6 for me, only because I just feel it's very engaging. It's well structured in terms of its comedic and I guess dramatic moments. Like the story goes along with it's a very exciting origin story. And now that we've seen so many origin stories in Marvel and DC and everything, that gets kind of tedious. And I think this is one of the more clever ones of bringing a group together. And it's just really funny. There's not like a lost moment in it. I think the action's really fun. It's nothing super exciting. It's not like Infinity War level. But it is just really fun the whole way through. I'd say the only time I'm like taken out of the movie, for whatever reason, it really bothers me when Benicio del Toro's character, the Collector, shows this like footage of how the Infinity Stones came about. And it's like someone must have like made a documentary on all of the worlds where the stones had been. It's a really bizarre thing. I don't like when they do
Makes
stuff
me think
like that.
how many other documentaries has someone made in the galaxy?
Right. Are we just getting his biased standpoint of like how the Infinity Stones started? Yeah, there's stuff like that. I think there's just like really good comedic timing in it, and so every single scene like really draws me in, and I'm never bored when I watch it.
Yeah, you made a couple of really good points. I mean, the alternating of the comedy and the drama or dramatic sequences in the movie is really good.
Right.
It does have the comedic chops of the actors in this one is real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. But let's pit this against
so now this is
Suicide
why
Squad.
our podcast called Face Off. We get to face these off. And this one is perfect because Suicide Squad, in my personal opinion, is a heaping pile of trash.
Yeah.
In terms of
I'll second that.
In terms of spectacularity, I give it a 2.
Yeah, me too.
Because like it's whoa.
All right, continue.
Because it's it's not like so bad that I didn't want, like, you don't really want to keep watching it, but it's close.
It's pretty close.
It's really close.
It's like painfully bad. I would say a big thing for spectacularity with Suicide Squad is the way it's structured.
Right.
The story is structured in a really bizarre way. I take just the first 15 minutes. You don't know what the hell is happening. Nick and I have both seen this movie multiple times.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah. But we were turning to each other like every 10 minutes. No, like every 10 minutes, every 2 minutes, we'd turn to each other and be like, what the hell is going on? It's the way that they show you the character, who the characters are, they just kind of throw it at you, and it's only some characters, and then it's going back and forth in time. It's really weird. It's structured poorly. There's this scene that we'll talk about later that is truly awful and just takes away from the momentum that the movie has.
Yeah, it's just like it's the editing and it's the way that it's structured. It's just I mean, if this is a category, and it is spectacularity, a category that is a lot about does this movie take you out of, or does anything in the movie take you out of your viewing experience? Yes, Suicide Squad has multiple things.
I mean,
that
they
take you out of
drop
it.
characters in. There's a character named Katana whose sword traps the souls of those it kills.
Oh my God.
She's dropped in like 90 minutes into the movie or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then she's just like, look, she's Sword Girl.
Yeah,
look
and there's
at her.
like Slipknot is like a character who climbs things, and like you don't get a background description on him. So of course he's the one that they kill to show that they're not free to do whatever they want. You know what? Fuck this movie. But
He's a really dumb character.
But I'm giving it a 2 instead of a 1 because it's still like a car crash, like where you like you can't look away.
No, yeah, it's the Room of superhero movies.
100%.
It's garbage. It's
Yeah.
a garbage movie, but it is kind of fun to be like, why did they do that?
Yeah, I mean,
what? Of course he died there. What an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, only upon this viewing did I realize that he was, of course, going to die first because they didn't give him a background like they did everyone else. That's terrible story structuring or whatever the hell it is. All right, so let's move on. That's a 2 from both of us. What do you want to do next?
We have plenty of time to crap on this movie, so let's talk about...
let's do Eye Candy next.
You want to do Eye Candy?
So Eye Candy is how visually stunning the movie was.
I'm taking a hard line stance on Eye Candy.
Okay,
go ahead.
Good. Okay, so Eye Candy, just to reiterate, is basically just how visually stunning the movie was. Like, was it good use of CGI, good production design, costumes, makeup, anything that is visual we're going to talk about here, cinematography, what have you. Right. So why don't you start it off? Let's start on Suicide Squad since we're already on this.
I am going to give Suicide
movie.
Squad, and I'm just going to let the audience know at this point that we have recorded this episode multiple times.
Yeah, we had
a little
to.
behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. We had to try and figure out how to get this podcast to not sound like a heaping pile of garbage.
And unfortunately, it still does. But yeah.
You know, whatever. So I think before this moment, I may have rated this higher, and I'm just going to take a hard line stance on a 1 for Suicide Squad because it is inexcusable that the budgets are almost the same.
Yeah,
for these movies.
$175 million for each of them. Well, I guess Guardians was like $5 million more or something.
Yeah, and Suicide Squad.
They're wildly different in quality.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, the quality of Suicide Squad is horrible.
Yeah.
There are CGI helicopters. The bad guy that's not Cara Delevingne?
Yeah.
Whatever. Her brother,
Yeah.
bad guy, looks like the Scorpion King from The Scorpion King or The Mummy from The Mummy, which are movies.
Or the Scorpion King from The Mummy.
Whoa. And those are old movies that the CGI does not hold up.
Right.
And it looks almost the same as those. Like it's a video game.
The helicopters especially. I don't even know why they couldn't just get helicopters for the movie with that kind of budget.
Yeah.
And there's like a part when a helicopter just like touches down and the front of the helicopter, it's just a piece of the helicopter or like a portion of it, and it touches down and you could tell that it looks like it's like from a video game or something.
Yeah, it's like a flight simulator. It's awful. And it's not like there's anything in the movie to me that saves Eye Candy from being the lowest possible rating that we can give on our
For me,
show.
I'm going to give it a 2 because there are like, I do like some of the visual parts with like Harley Quinn and Joker and then like Deadshot. But the things in the past are okay and kind of cool. And there's like some cool like army scenes, I guess. But like, The only reason why I'm not giving it a 1 is there are a lot of bad movies out there, and you can really tell when a movie doesn't have a good budget. It's crazy that this one looks the way it does with the budget it has.
Right. Yeah,
but there
exactly.
are worse action movies out there, worse CGI things, and I think because neither of us saw it in theaters, we don't really know how it would
That's
have looked
true.
in its like intended form. So I'm gonna give it a 2. But I'm really close to giving it a 1.
I mean, there's nothing.
Oh, the El Diablo scene?
Yeah.
When there's like security
Yes,
footage and
exactly.
he's burning everyone is just like fake fire. It looks like a TV show. Like it looks like a TV show pilot that hasn't gotten its money yet.
Yeah.
Or like a music video.
It's,
yeah.
Yes, I just think it's inexcusable.
It's pretty bad.
That it's that bad, and there isn't anything about it. Like with some of the movies that we talk about, or we're when we're thinking about doing the episodes, we're like, I think like, okay, well, this thing could redeem it in this category.
Right.
You know, like maybe for example in this movie you would think like costume. Maybe the costumes are good enough that they kind of save this from the worst
Harley
possible
Quinn's
rating.
costume is cool, I guess.
I think it's bad. I think it's super.
Yeah, it's kind of bad too.
I think it's like, oh, cool, and like the Joker, everything about the Joker in this movie.
Fuck Jared Leto. We're going to
is
talk about acting next.
Absolutely ridiculous. I just think that every element of every visual element of this movie is not pleasing to me. It's unpleasant. It's
I agree. I'm just giving it a 2 just
goofy or
because
bad.
I've seen worse. But
get
let's
it.
compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. So Guardians,
I gave it a 5.
yeah, same. I give it a 5.
It's above average. It's
Yeah.
visual, especially for the genre. It's like it's a good use of budget. It doesn't look bad at all, even on like a computer screen.
There's a couple
it doesn't look that bad.
spectacular scenes, like the scene
When the fleet like matches
yeah.
up together to like stop Ronan's
is that
ship.
Xandar? Is that the plane?
Yeah, the Xandarian fleet.
Yeah. They make that like mesh web
Yeah,
and they
that's
hold
really
back
cool. Yeah.
Ronan's ship. That's a cool scene.
That is
That's
cool.
Pretty spectacular.
I like a lot of the scenes. I think like you had mentioned this, but like a really good way of showing the differences in quality in terms of the budget is that both movies have a physically large character, like a supernaturally large character. The brother of Cara Delevingne's like Enchantress character, and then Groot. And Groot looks cool. Like it looks like a tree. It has like very intricate designs into his like arms and legs and stuff. And a lot of the scenes that are visually great have to do with him. Like the scenes where he has like the fireflies or protects them in that like ball of sticks, which would actually hurt.
Yeah.
Just got to point out. But I think it's like visually fine. You know, it's going to age pretty well. I'm just going to give it so I maybe would have given it like an average rating, but I'm going to give it a 5 mostly because I think the way that they do the credit sequence at the beginning is
it's
visually
really good.
awesome. I loved it. And I saw it at Disneyland in that little theater where Captain EO plays before it came out, and I loved it.
It's it's an above average. I think it's even maybe I would say maybe slightly above like the Marvel standard for a well done, visually well done movie.
Totally. All right, so let's move on to, so that's a 5 from both of us, right? And then we'll move on to acting. Acting is how believable were the actors? How believable were the actors? Did the directors and writers and producers or whoever allow the actors to act at the best of their abilities? Were the actors acting at the best of their abilities, or were they hunk of shit actors? That's basically what acting is. So let's start with Guardians of the Galaxy for this one.
Okay, so Guardians, I give another 5.
Yeah,
I think
same.
the acting is good. Like I said, the comedic chops of the characters or the actors is something that kind of stands out in this movie to me.
Totally.
I mean, all of the Marvel movies try and include that element of humor, and they mostly succeed in doing that. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy is maybe one of, if not, no, Ragnarok is definitely the one where they succeed the most to me.
The funniest. Yeah, in terms of, I agree.
But
I think Guardians has like a better story than Ragnarok and a more compelling villain. No, that's wrong. Ragnarok just doesn't use the villain.
no one is more compelling than Jeff Goldblum.
That's true. I wasn't talking about him. Jeff Goldblum as Jeff Goldblum from another planet was pretty great.
It's really good. But back to Guardians.
Yeah.
It's you can't go wrong if you've got Chris Pratt and Bradley Cooper's amazing in this as the voice of a cybernetic raccoon, which is amazing.
Oh yeah.
and I mean, you're going to talk about Drax, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Dave Bautista. So I'm giving it a 5 as well.
Yeah.
Those are all really good points. I mean, the thing is, it's comedically great, and they are compelling characters. I really do care about them, and I think that's a great part about the movie. Is James Gunn gives you enough background with each of the characters for you to care about them, especially the villain. I mean, it's like the most compelling villain. Out of all the Marvel movies for me, besides like Black Panther and then Thanos and Infinity War and Endgame.
Okay.
For me, I just love Ronan the Accuser.
Because you just have a boner for Lee Pace, dude.
I mean, who doesn't? That voice. Yeah, so
he is awesome in this.
I think that Dave Bautista, the fact that they could take someone like Dave Bautista, who is attempting to be a new Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is great. And it actually succeeded, and he is really funny, and he's just a good character. I love that. So it was fine. It's a 5. It's above average. You're not going to have like really good performances in most comic book movies besides like Endgame and some of the Captain America movies, but it was fun. And I believed all of them, and it was good writing for them.
And like you said, in Black Panther. I think Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther is an amazing performance.
Yeah, I mean, he's so good.
I mean, yeah.
But I think this is like another great moment to compare it to Suicide Squad. Because there's a lot going on with Suicide Squad with that cast and the writing and the directing and the production.
But to me, not necessarily the acting. So I give it a 3 in acting.
Whoa.
This time around.
Huge.
Because...
So your score is going to end up being the same because you went down on one.
Yeah, exactly. But I do, like, I give it a 3 because I don't think it's average, because I don't think it can be, because the writing is so...
It's the worst
goofy.
written.
I wanted to say unrealistic, but like obviously it's a movie that takes place when like there are superheroes.
No, it's just unbelievable.
Superman, but it's unbelievable. I mean, Amanda Waller, who's the most normal character, she's a corrupt politician, so aren't they all?
Yeah.
She says about a character, let's just say I put him in the hole and threw away the hole.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, nobody says that, and what does that mean? And why would
like a hole from Acme?
And why would a highly educated, like genius level congresswoman or whatever she is do and say something like that?
They just give her a million ridiculous lines in a row. The opening of the movie is her giving a bunch of speeches and making these like quotes as if people speak in that way. And the thing is, Viola Davis is one of the best actresses of all time. So
it's
weird. Really fucking bizarre.
It's so weird.
I'm going to give it a 2. I agree with that. I'm going to give it a 2 because there are acting performances that are just bad. I don't believe that it's the writing. Like Jared Leto took some liberties with his acting that I really didn't like. Joel Kinnaman sucks.
He took some liberties?
Yeah, he took a lot of liberties.
He took just a few liberties.
He like fucking gave people used condoms so that he probably gave them used dildos as well, but like so that he
didn't he like give them a dead pig and they were like, what are we gonna do with
dead
this?
Rat?
And then they like looked around and were like, oh, we should cook it.
Yo, but like the Joker would have done that. He would have sent his friends that. It's like no.
Yeah, his version of the Joker is not good.
Especially after we've seen the new one with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay.
Oh, Killer Croc is bad. I think the big issue for me is the writing. The writing is unbelievable with some of the good characters, like Harley Quinn and Amanda Waller. I don't like the writing. No. I mean, the only one that's fine is like Deadshot or whatever. Sort of, but he kind of goes, what is this, cheerleading tryouts? Like, do cheerleaders try out with guns? I don't get that line.
I think that's it. There's like you cannot count how many times that you have to look to someone, and I hope you watch this movie with somebody else. Don't watch it by yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's not fun.
It's almost like a suicide watch type thing.
There's so many times you turn to the other person you're watching with and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? Why did they say that?
There's also some like racist caricatures of certain characters in our opinions. Yeah, it's bad. I'm going to give it a 2. Let's move on from that though.
Yeah.
Let's move on to originality. Let's talk about Suicide Squad since we're on the
so this is another, like, this is a common theme, obviously, but for a lot of these ratings for Suicide Squad, it's like, well, it wasn't quite the worst thing ever. And that's the same for this. Like, it's not quite the least original thing ever. Originality is a category where we ask ourselves, like, did this need to be made, first and foremost?
Especially if it's adapted from something.
Yeah, especially in the case of comic book movies, because they're obviously all adapted from something. And in this case, like, yeah, I think it needed to be made. Did they make it correctly? No.
Yeah, it's all about like the execution in terms of like how creative they got with it. Beyond just like how did it need to get made? That's like the main question we ask ourselves. But beyond that, like, were there things that were clever? Does it really stand out in the genre? Does it stand out compared to other things? Were there things that you remembered because you'd never seen that before? Stuff like that. And I think Nick made a good point because, like, the thing is, for me, I think Suicide Squad is uniquely one of the worst movies ever made because of editing and stuff. But when we break it down into these metrics, like, I'm not going to give it a 1 on originality because we hadn't really seen a movie like that.
No.
So I gave it a 2. Did you give it a 2?
I gave it a 2.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that it probably needed to be made because DC needed something. They needed something fun and kind of funny, but also dark because that was kind of their theme. And it is a good comic book from what I know. They're really cool characters.
Yeah, but to me, like, the only thing about it that is,
it's just not creative.
Yeah, has any merit and is creative at all is the fact that they made it.
Yeah.
And that's like,
I agree.
That's
lazy.
That's the bare minimum.
Right.
Like, you made it and it should have been made, so thanks. But
Right.
like, you botched everything about it. Nothing is creative. The way that it's done, the storyline's not creative. The way that they come together isn't creative. Like, it's just, none of it is original.
And sometimes movies that are really bad are very memorable. There's not a lot of memorable moments in this. There's like funny lines and stuff that Nick and I repeat to each other, but it's just like not.
No, like the final battle with the Enchantress is just stupid. Like, it's not.
Yeah. Before we move on to Guardians, there's like one point I wanted to make about originality. I think there's a good difference to be made, or a good comparison to be made between the two in terms of their use of soundtrack.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad has like 30 popular songs from all ages, 30 popular songs, and you get like 10-second snippets of each of them. It's like a CGI fuckfest power hour. It's a power hour. It's really frustrating, and there are weird choices. There's no creativity, and you can kind of tell that they must have messed up their budget with stuff like that, hiring a bunch of great actors, paying way too much for just CGI and not like set design, and then getting a huge soundtrack. Whereas Guardians of the Galaxy, which for originality, what are you giving it?
I gave it a 6.
Yeah, I gave it a 6 as well. And one thing, I love their use of soundtrack. It's famous for that. Besides Baby Driver, I can't think of a movie that's more famous for its use, a non-musical movie.
And I mean, if this is a category that we're talking about how creative something is, it's an extremely creative use of soundtrack. It's new. It's not been done.
Right.
So, to have these like retro songs that
they were like popular, but they weren't necessarily like the most popular
in their
at their
time. They weren't like really popular. I mean, there's a song, I forget the name right now, but there's a song in it that came up really high on charts when the movie was released.
Come and Get Your Love?
Yeah,
or
I think
Hooked on
so.
a Feeling?
One of
Either
the two.
Of those. Yeah.
It went shot up really high on charts that it didn't even come close to being as high as it was.
Right.
Back when it was released. It has songs that people like.
I love
kids,
the soundtrack.
Kids just refer to as like the Guardian song.
Right,
when
which
they
is
hear
crazy.
It. Like, it's a very unique way of using soundtrack, and it ties into the character Star-Lord, Chris Pratt's character in the movie.
Right.
And so it has like a very sentimental. The music has a sentimental value to it in the world of the movie, which is awesome.
Agree.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and
whereas with Suicide Squad, it has no sentimental value.
No,
to anyone
like
in the movie.
A random Eminem song is put in there, like that has nothing to do with what's going on.
It's just
or
it's
it's on the or it's too on the nose. Yeah, another thing that Nick and I have discussed that both of us, I would say a lot of people, when they heard about Guardians of the Galaxy being made, especially when Marvel was starting to get its rhythm, a lot of us were pretty skeptical because no one really read. I mean, that's like a pretty obscure comic. I know people who read the comics, but like it wasn't a very popular one.
No.
And I remember hearing that Bradley Cooper was going to play like a CGI raccoon and Dave Bautista was going to be in it. And like, I just kept reading all this stuff. And at that point I loved Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec, but I didn't really believe he could be like a big movie star. So there were all these things leading into it where we kind of, were skeptical.
Yeah.
And, originality wise, like it really shocked us. It was a surprising hit. It was amazing. I remember laughing my ass off in the theater when I thought the trailers looked stupid. I very much judged a book by its cover, and I was happily pleased and surprised with what they gave me.
Yeah, and I was very surprised that Chris Pratt could get shredded up.
Oh, he was so shredded.
He's cut
the part where they blast him with the orange,
cut like a diamond, dude.
The carrot juice or the stuff. I don't know what they're doing in that prison, but
it's carrot
clean him with
juice,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
It's to nourish his muscles.
Yeah, a lot of carotene.
Yeah.
So we're both gonna give it a 6. It was really original, and it does stand out, and I think it definitely needed to be made.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's finish it up with legacy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Guardians of the Galaxy a 6.
Okay, I gave it a 6 as well.
Okay, good. And I think this is because you've worked your way up to that. The more you thought about it. The reason I'm giving it a 6 is because though it's not necessarily my favorite, or maybe for some people it is their favorite, the first one really holds up. And people still talk about the first one probably more than they talk about the second one.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And those characters have lived on and become fan favorites. And they're, Infinity War is like the best Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Even though it's not a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because they're so good and the characters are so great. And I think, so James Gunn was going to make Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and he got fired because he made some like baby rape jokes, because he's a provocateur. Just casual baby rape jokes, no big deal.
Jesus.
But anyways, it was something that happened 10 years ago and he apologized for it. And the fans were so upset. Fans of just Guardians were so upset that they all came together and like petitioned and like rioted so that he would get hired again. And of course he's back on as the Guardians
because
person.
he basically made a masterpiece. Like he turned I don't want to say he turned,
and it doesn't get old.
He turned like shit into gold, but he made gold. Like he struck gold. This is a great,
turned like bronze into gold.
Yeah. There you go. It's a great movie. It has a lot of things about it live on, and where you like, just like we talked about in originality, we're creative and unique enough that they live on, and there's not a whole lot to say negative about the movie in terms of its legacy.
It's lived on, whereas with Suicide Squad
there's a whole lot of bad to talk about.
This is an interesting topic though, because
it's true,
it hasn't died. Like a lot of DC movies, like a lot of DC movies have died. This one has lived on. In fact, James Gunn is making another one.
Yeah.
And at first we all thought it was a remake, that he was just recreating it, but there are a lot of the same actors. So I don't know if it's a remake or if he's just extending it and doing it properly.
I don't quite understand what's going on with it, but I mean, it's got spin-offs. Harley Quinn's got her own.
Harley Quinn has like 5 movies coming out, including Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is the trailer makes it look very much like it's written a lot like this movie was, in a really kind of silly.
And the title is dumb.
I think a lot of it is she's
annoying.
It's just like a vehicle for Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I love Margot Robbie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
As Harley Quinn, like that.
She's symmetrical as hell, dude.
Bad guys. It's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. I don't know.
It's like a weird thing.
It doesn't make sense that it has the legacy that it does, but it kind of does make sense because, like we said, it should be made. It's a cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool comic narrative to turn into a movie, and it should be good. But this iteration of it is not good. It's bad.
One part of it lives on, like you said, it's the room of comic book movies. And I think that's a great point because it's hilarious to talk about. It's definitely funny to watch with friends because it's bad, but it also hurts your head. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
We're going to talk about some of our favorite scenes to hate from the movie.
Yeah.
In a bit, but let's add up our scores.
Yeah, add it up, big boy.
There's an obvious winner here. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to win this. I mean, for me, I think my scores add up to a total of 27.
Yeah, mine's a 28.
Yeah. And so that's
good. 28 out of 35. So what is that?
Matt is pause for
55.
Yeah.
Yeah, 55.
Yeah.
Nice. Big time math guy.
55, and then Suicide Squad gets a 10 for me.
Yeah, Suicide Squad got a 10 from me as well, so a 20 out of 70, which I think it's like a 20% or something. Maybe a little higher than that. It's pretty close to what the actual critical score was on Rotten Tomatoes. It's bad.
Not a good movie.
Honestly, it probably should be worse, but I have to give it credit where credit's due. Let's move on to some like accolades, some things that we want to point out that we like and hate about each of the movies. So let's just start with the MVP. Who won the movies for you?
The winner of the movies is Bradley Cooper. The Coops.
Yeah, the Coops
comes through with just the best vocal performance.
Tell me something, girl.
Dude.
He's a great singer. That was horrible.
Yeah, he's really good in this and in A Star Is Born. Very the range.
I love him in both.
He plays a cybernetic raccoon
in Star Is Born,
and Star Is Born, and an alcoholic singer in this movie.
Yeah, right.
Seriously though, it's amazing that he plays Rocket. I didn't figure that out.
He's very committed too.
For like a long time after I saw this movie the first time.
Even knowing it now, I sometimes
that's
forget.
Bradley Cooper. Yeah, even rewatching it, I was like, God, I can't believe that's Bradley Cooper.
It's good MVP.
Like, what a great performance to just come out of nowhere to to voice a cybernetic raccoon.
Yeah, and he's so good at it.
With like
so
this
committed.
weird New York accent.
Yeah.
And like make him like oddly deep and relatable.
Yeah,
He might be the most relatable character in the movie, and he's like a raccoon.
Yeah, I always say vocabulistics instead of vocabulary as well. It's very relatable. I mean, it's hard for me. I do love Drax a lot, and I do love Rocket, and I love Star-Lord, and all the characters are really good. For me, the MVP, it's like a two-way tie.
Okay.
It's actually, you know what? I'm going to go with James Gunn as the MVP because he took something that I didn't really think could work and he made it so great. And he is clearly MVP because not only did he continue on Guardians of the Galaxy to the fact that there's to the point where there's 3 movies, one in the works, and Infinity War and Endgame. Mm-hmm. But he also is now doing Suicide Squad, so he wins. He's the MVP. Yeah. LVP for me is DC.
Yeah, they just can't get it right.
This was when it was very obvious that they could not get it right. It was no longer Zack Snyder.
Aquaman?
Well, but this was like when everyone. No, I haven't, but I will.
You should.
Yeah, we'll figure out
do an episode for that because it's oof.
Yeah, I'm not excited to watch it.
You should be.
Yeah,
it's the room.
Permission to come aboard. I don't really want to watch. I'm off track, but the thing is, DC it started out horribly. I liked Man of Steel, but it was very divisive. A lot of people did not like it, and then they did Batman versus Superman, which nobody liked. And then they did Suicide Squad, and somehow, to me at least, Suicide Squad was way worse than Batman versus Superman.
It is. It's worse. It's way worse.
And that's it. So DC lost this for me. I don't know who your LVP is.
I mean, it's
count them off, dude.
There's so many. It might be, I mean, it could be Slipknot, the character that climbs real good, who dies real fast.
That guy's actually a pretty good actor too.
I know. It could be Killer Croc, who's actually like a really awesome character that I really loved from like the Batman comics or Batman cartoons that I used to watch.
Hey man,
when I was
you're
a
the
kid.
one who chooses to live in the sewer up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now he's just like this racist caricature that
There's a moment when
he requests BET as his only thing in
prison. Yeah.
To improve his prison life. Like, come on, really?
I don't know, maybe there's
My
some
least
compelling
valuable
programs.
scene is the scene that we went and got Chinese food in, where
Oh, God.
like more than an hour and a half into the movie, the action, the movie is Suicide Squad is essentially just a slow, very slow progression to a very not good ending.
Yeah.
And in the middle of that already slow progression, it just pauses, and your motley crew of suicide squatters just goes into an abandoned hotel and just like drinks and talks.
It's like an
That's like,
hour
dude, really?
and 40 minutes into the movie. Already some momentum. They're already going after the bad guys. They know about all these like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bad guy type things.
The bubble people?
Yeah, whatever the hell. They're like ash-faced. I don't know what the hell they are, but they're
Did you say ash or ass?
yeah, ash. Both. Yes. Pick and choose. Yeah, but they're already going after them, and they're, for whatever reason at that moment, mad at Amanda Waller. They're not just mad at her for the whole
In the whole movie, no, they just all of a sudden are like, man,
Yeah.
I'm mad now at what
let's
we
go
have
drink
to do.
and then share depressing stories, and they listen to El Diablo talk about how he burned his family alive. It's weird. I don't like
God,
it. It
dude.
kind of like I like Margot Robbie, but it's another scene where Harley Quinn's really annoying, and I don't know how anyone saw that movie and saw that scene and was like, you know what we need more of? Her. Let's make 5 more movies.
Dude, I
of
think
her.
the only person that thought that is Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Well,
Because she
good for her.
became-
Get that
because
money.
because honestly, she
became
got.
a
I
big
think
star.
she got really into the character. Who's a
Right.
good, Harley Quinn's a cool character.
It is a
but
cool character.
You just like
guess.
like why? Let's just
Yeah.
It's just why? Why is the movie?
Yeah.
Why?
Do you have like a favorite scene from either of these movies?
favorite
or-
scene from Guardians, because it's definitely not from Suicide Squad, is I like the prison escape scene a lot.
Same with me. That's my favorite scene.
Yeah, another Rocket highlight scene. For
When
sure.
he
He's got a
tells him
great
to steal
speech.
the well, he has like that too. Yeah. Are you talking about?
Oh, that's
he's
when
like,
they enter the prison.
Right.
I guess. Yeah, your introduction to him.
He's like, if you want to get to him, you gotta go through us.
But I mean,
Or
that's
more
another-
specifically, we go through you.
It's a great impression.
Thanks.
It's just
really not.
another example why the movie Guardians is so much better than Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
the way
totally.
that they meet is in this prison.
Yeah, really,
All the
how they get to
characters.
know each other.
How they
yeah.
get to know each other is in this
Right.
this prison where they're forced to be together.
And they're
it's just
compelling
better.
characters, especially as a unit. Like, you really want to root for these guys,
Yeah.
even though they're bad people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess let's just leave it off with that. We would sometimes do like a little bit of a facelift if we wanted to remake a movie. There's just too much that we would have to remake with Suicide Squad.
I mean, real quick, if you were to remake Suicide Squad, give it a facelift, I say don't make Enchantress the bad guy.
No.
Use Enchantress as a good guy because she's honestly the most powerful of those characters. So earlier in the movie, she disappears. She gets some like intel from Tehran and brings it back. Have her do that, but get caught by somebody,
Yeah.
and then all of the other guys who don't have incredible supernatural powers have to go save her.
Right, and go against someone like, I don't want to say there should have been more Jared Leto in the movie, but go against someone like the Joker.
Yeah,
like
have the twist be that the Joker's working with terrorists.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just think that beyond everything, you just need to make the characters more compelling. Make us care about them.
Yes, please.
Make the villain interesting because both movies have faceless monsters that work for them, but like that's okay if the person that's leading them is interesting and someone
Right.
you want to hate or someone you just want to learn more about. Yeah, that's it. But
That's our facelift. Let's do a recommendation.
yeah, recommendation for those of you who haven't watched it. There's a good TV show that's kind of in this same vein,
Yeah,
which is called The Boys. It's on Amazon Prime. It's made by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. It's basically imagine a world where there are superheroes, but they kind of market themselves and they're run by this big organization, this big like evil corporation that markets them, sells their product, and does some shady stuff. And the superheroes once in a while abuse their powers and get out of line. So a ragtag group of boys get together and spank them when they get out of line. So it's really funny. It's cool. It's a good show. I don't know if it's like amazing, but it's a good show.
No, I really like it, and it's adapted from a graphic novel series that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
I say go out and watch it.
Yeah, it's fun. I definitely recommend that one.
Yeah. And then just let us know if you have any feedback, any things that you want us to do, or if you have some recommendations about something along these lines, or just recommendations for other movies that we should watch and talk about. You can send us an email at facingoffpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on Instagram, on our social meets. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter. Just look up Facing Off Podcast, and you'll see our poster with our two stupid faces. Where Nick actually looks like a villain, a more compelling villain than Joker, just based off of the poster.
Wow, dude, just such a compliment.
Yeah. So next week, we're going to be talking about Gone Girl versus, or not next week, but in a few episodes, we're going to, or next God, I'm an idiot. Next episode, we're going to talk about Gone Girl and A Simple Favor. So if you haven't seen those movies, go watch them.
Right.
We especially
another
recommend.
One that's going to come up because it's almost Halloween time. We're going to do Hereditary versus Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
And then eventually
we got a Tarantino.
We'll do a Tarantino episode.
Yeah, and we got a bunch coming for you. We got a bunch of different genres. We're really happy to have you along. Yeah, please let us know what you think. Like, rate, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your children. Don't share it with your children.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Unless they're old. I don't know. But yeah, you got a little send-off?
This bird is baked.
This bird is baked. All right, see ya.
See ya, everybody.